Welcome to the Painted Past, where discarded treasures become design masterpieces, and your home tells stories in every brushstroke. Today, we'll take a journey through the art of upcycling, infusing forgotten furniture and salvaged pieces with the rustic elegance of a French-inspired retreat. Let's turn patina into poetry and salvage into style. French country decor is more than a look, it's a lifestyle. Rooted in time-worn charm and graceful simplicity, it's about embracing imperfection, honoring age, and layering character into your home. With upcycling, we celebrate this ethos, reviving vintage finds with soft whites, delicate florals, and elegant distressing. The best French-inspired transformations begin with overlooked objects. Visit flea markets, estate sales, or even your attic. Look for curved legs, carved details, and solid wood pieces. Age isn't a flaw, it's an asset. Old dressers, mirror frames, or even a weathered ladder can be your next standout piece. French retreats are bathed in gentle colors, think dove gray, antique white, faded blue, and muted sage. These tones conjure a romantic countryside. Chalk paint and lime wash are perfect for soft matte finishes. Let your palette feel sun-washed and time-worn, like it's lived 100 peaceful afternoons. Upcycling isn't just about repainting, it's about storytelling. Distress with sandpaper, layer paints, or apply a wax glaze to give your piece the look of generations past. A little crackle or chipped edge goes a long way in creating that authentically worn French farmhouse charm. An outdated dining table becomes the centerpiece of a French-inspired space with just a few changes. Paint the base in creamy white, stain the top in walnut, and gently distress the edges. Finish with antique-style hardware and you have a piece that looks like it was passed down for decades. Vintage shutters are pure gold in French decor. Mount them as headboards, lean them against walls for texture, or frame a mirror between them. A coat of chalk paint and a light sanding transforms them into perfect, pastoral wall art, straight out of Provence. Old sheets, lace curtains, and tablecloths often hold unmatched charm. Dye them with tea for a warm, aged look or stitch them into pillowcases, slipcovers, or chair skirts. Layered textures and gentle frays are all part of the relaxed French retreat ambience. Rescued doors with ornate panels and weathered paint can become statement pieces. Use them as sliding barn doors, entryway decor, or even as an artistic backdrop in a bedroom. The more distressed, the better. It tells a richer story of where it's been. Transform a thrifted dresser into a delicate vanity. Soft pastel paint, new porcelain knobs, and a vintage mirror can elevate the entire look. It's perfect for a powder room or as an elegant entryway piece, and it brings instant old-world luxury. Iron gates, trellises, and garden fencing can be stunning indoors. Clean, seal, and repurpose them as wall decor, bed canopies, or frames for vintage prints. Their ornate scrolls and rusted finishes add texture and timeless charm. Old wooden crates and wicker baskets, once used in markets or carriages, are perfect for storing throws, displaying flowers, or holding firewood. Add a linen lining and stencil a French label for a touch of authenticity. old armoire painted in dusty lavender or greige becomes the hero of any French room. Highlight the molding with a lighter paint shade, swap the knobs for antique brass, and line the interior with floral wallpaper. It's where storage meets soul. Use reclaimed beams or old floorboards to craft floating shelves. Their irregularities bring natural warmth. Pair them with brass brackets and display vintage teacups, books, or jars of lavender. Simple materials, styled beautifully, are key in French decor. Hunt down vintage clocks, mantel or wall-mounted, with faded numerals and chipped paint. Clean, repaint sparingly, and let their age show. They're not just functional, they anchor your decor with a sense of timelessness and history. Chandeliers, wall sconces, and table lamps are easy upcycle wins. Paint metal bases in antique gold or soft ivory, add crystal drops, and switch shades to linen or lace. Lighting in French decor is soft, ambient, and full of grace. Don't toss damaged furniture, salvage the drawer fronts. Painted and mounted, they become framed wall art. Add hooks for a charming entryway or hang several together as a textured backdrop behind your bed or sofa. Collect ornate, empty frames in various sizes. Paint them in muted hues, distress lightly, and hang them layered on a wall or over a mirror. This adds instant Parisian gallery vibes without spending a fortune. A weathered ladder leaning gently against the wall becomes a practical display piece. Drape towels, throws, or lace runners over the rungs. It's an easy, elegant nod to both farmhouse and French cottage aesthetics. Gather mismatched vintage mirrors and unify them with similar paint finishes. Hang them salon-style on a single wall to bounce light and create layered depth. The more ornate, the better. Imperfection is what makes them perfect. Old terracotta pots or chipped ceramic vessels are made new with pastel chalk paint and delicate decals. Add topiaries, lavender, or simple herbs and line them up on a windowsill or sideboard for a breath of French countryside. Repurpose antique trunks and suitcases as coffee tables, bedside storage, or blanket boxes. The scuffs and stamps evoke travel, adventure, and a life well lived, very in tune with the French way of honoring the past. An old iron bed frame can be turned into a garden bench or entryway seat with a new wooden seat and pastel paint. Its scrolls and curves echo the soft elegance of French wrought ironwork. Parisian phrases, floral motifs, or classic stripes using stencils and a light hand. Whether on tabletops, trays, or drawer fronts, this technique layers charm while honoring old-world typography and detail. Upcycle a plain lampshade with lace trimmings, ribbon, or antique doilies. It diffuses the light into a romantic glow, perfect for the cozy corners of your retreat. Pair it with a painted ceramic base for that French cottage feel. Sometimes, all you need is to replace knobs and pulls. Opt for porcelain, glass, or brushed brass with floral or scroll designs. Small accents can completely change the feel of a cabinet or drawer, adding just the right French flair. If you find an old mantelpiece, don't pass it up, it can become a stunning faux fireplace or wall shelf. Paint it white or weathered gray, add candles and antique finds, and make it the soulful centerpiece of your space. Bring all your upcycled pieces together by layering softly. Mix woods, linens, and metals. Keep colors cohesive. Add dried flowers, vintage books, and ceramic pitchers. Let your space feel collected, personal, and filled with stories. That's the spirit of a true French-inspired home. Upcycling is more than a project, it's a philosophy. It's about honoring what was, celebrating imperfection, and creating something new with love. In every chipped corner and faded finish, your French-inspired retreat tells a story, one that's yours, yet timeless. So paint the past, and let beauty bloom in every brushstroke.